What is up, you guys? There is nobody happier than me to finally announce Teen Wolf Season 5 is back. And this was just, your your all around everything you want for the most part in a Teen Wolf season premiere opener. And just to, kick off this new series I'm going to start to review weekly, we found out that this is just the first part to a two-part premiere, 2-day premiere series opening, and we find out tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow at 9 o'clock p.m. Episode 2 of the season will be premiering as well. So that's cool. I like that they're doing that. So you guys will see me back here tomorrow. So we're still going strong with the Teen Wolf guys. So just to kick everything off, the new opening. Tell me what you guys think about the new opening. Um, I wish they would have changed Scott's. And I like the opening first of all. It's kind of like the same as last season, except for a couple changes. We see Derek's not in it, um, and that I think Derek is the only one that was taken out of it, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think Derek was the only one taken out of it, and everybody's basically doing the same things, except for we get a little cut of Scott kissing Kira, and then it goes into her sword stance, and we also see the villains of this season, which is cool, and their masks looks sweet, man. I'll talk about it more in the review because I have a whole bunch of notes written down. Can't wait to just dive right into this, but yeah. So everything basically looked great. Everything looks cool. Um, but tell me what you guys think about the new opening compared to other openings. Um, so we jumped right into the the season starting in Icon House, and man, what a way to start a season right in this nut clinic. So we see Lydia, and we find out that she has some newfound abilities, which is like basically Banshee's abilities in the X Men. If you're familiar with the X Men, there's an X Men named Banshee, which has a called the Sonic Scream. He has an ability called the Sonic Scream, and Lydia, you see Lydia kind of has the same ability where she can repel her opponents using her scream and combined with her physical forces. So that's really cool. And now finally she will be useful when it comes to combat. And later down in this season and further seasons, if there is another one, she's useful in combat now, which is really good. My question is, what you guys' question basically is, what is she doing in Eigenhaus? Why is she in Eigenhaus? And what do they want with her? But I'm guessing we'll figure that out because there's a really interesting twist at the end of the episode that I'll get to. Um, and we obviously at the end of that little scene, we see that Aiden is back, which is really not the case because at the end of the episode we find out that it's not really him. But we can talk about more of that later. But I thought Aiden back, oh cool, but kind of disappointed that wasn't him. But hey, he's not in it. Um, so then we cut. Actually, we learn that it's actually a flashback. So we flash back to, I don't know the time span between the flashback of this episode because we learn that this episode is actually a flashback. This whole entire season is going to be actually a flashback. Is going to happen in the past, which is also really interesting, and I love that as well. That's an interesting take on things. But it's kind of, so the time period is kind of weird. So we flash back to a 6 month time skip. So don't, if you gotta pay attention, you get lost. So we flash back to a 6 month time skip to where Scott and Styles are sitting in the car talking about the future and in college and stuff. So it's been 6 months since the last season, and Styles is paranoid as usual, but this time he's paranoid about the future and what the future holds, and his friends, and if they're gonna get disconnected from him, and he doesn't want that to happen. Which is and that's classic Styles. He worries about a lot, and of course he'll be worrying about that, especially with Scott. He doesn't want to not be friends with Scott. So I thought that was interesting, and I can't wait to see where that goes. So and also I thought was interesting is how Scott is slowly becoming a mentor to Liam. like how Derek was a mentor to Scott when he was growing up, and I see Derek in Scott when he's mentoring Liam. Man, I'm gonna miss Derek. I think I'm pretty sure Tyler. I can never pronounce his last name. Is Tyler Hoagland, I believe. Tyler. I think he's done. I think he's officially done with Teen Wolf. I'm pretty sure. Um, so that's sad. Um, but he's gonna be missed. I thought he was a really cool character, but he's always gonna be missed. I don't know if he's gonna come back or not. Maybe he's just not here for the season. But I guess we'll see. Later down the line. I guess all we can do is wait and see. But I'm pretty sure he's done. But I see him in Scott, and that's very interesting. And I think Scott needs that for further developing his character and giving him more characterization. I think it's a perfect direction for his character, so he doesn't stay stuck. Because it's been 5 seasons. Um, Another question I have, uh, starting out this season, is what in the world is Deputy Parrish? What is he? What kind of mythical shape shifting creature is he? Because I'm thinking in my head watching this episode, what could he possibly be? And I just have, if you guys can tell me in the comment section if you have any idea, I have zero guesses, literally zero guesses on what he can possibly be. But I have noticed a couple things in that when he's dozing off, when he's, hallucinating, we see that Lydia comes up, but she's not really there, but she comes up and, she touches Scar and she leans in to kiss him. So I'm wondering, did something happen? Because it's been 6 months that's passed. Did they develop a relationship in that 6 month time skip? And I feel like, plus, and because of that, is what he is because have anything to do with Lydia and her abilities of being a banshee. So I think whatever he is has something to do with Lydia, and that's my only, that's the only thing I can draw from this episode is whatever he is has something to do with Lydia, and that's basically it. That's my theory, which is barely a theory, but that is my theory. Um, so we also get a new guy, what's his name? Theo, new guy named Theo, trying to join Scott's pack. Um, Obviously he looks kind of sketchy. He looks untrustworthy, to say the least. And I'm pretty sure everybody's guaranteeing that he is untrustworthy. We just have to wait and see what he wants with Scott and why he's there, and does he have anything to do with the villains that we see? The other villains. Sorry, I thought I heard something. The other villains that we see in this episode. But here's some interesting things that I think this guy can bring to the table. Um, this obviously is going to cause conflict between Styles, as we see in the previews, and Liam, as we see in the previews. And, you know, those three old friends coming back and, old friends coming back into Styles' life, connecting with the friends that he already has. And how is that going to play out? How is that going to work out with the group? And what's going to happen between all of them? I think that's really gonna be interesting. And it's a perfect opportunity for there to be a sort of a three-way characterization development between Styles, Liam, and Theo. Just like harking back to season 3A, how we had a three-way characterization between Derek, um, the the Dark Druid, and the Alpha. What's his name? What's the Alpha's name in season 3A? Decalion. How we had the three way characterization between those three in one season, which was brilliant. I think this is a perfect opportunity to have a three-way characterization between Theo, Liam, and Styles, and how they are all going to connect with Scott. How is Scott going to balance all those three out? And even in the previews, we see from the previews that Styles even calls Scott out on it, saying that he trusts everybody too easily, too much, too frequently. Scott comes back and saying we have to give people benefit of the doubt. You can't not trust anybody. You know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting to see those things collide. those ideals collide, and what's going to happen between those three. Can't wait to see that. That's going to be really interesting. Um, so another one of the next things we see that's very interesting is the guy who comes into the sheriff's office and threatens the sheriff's life. I'm wondering who that guy is. I'm pretty sure he's going to show up again. I'm pretty sure that scene wasn't for no reason. Um, I wonder what the sheriff, that connection that they had, because again, it's been 6 months, and he said he's been there before, and he said that the judge or something, they said, this is a last chance. This was his last chance, and he messed up his last chance, so he's done. I wonder what that guy has. I'm pretty sure he was a delinquent that the sheriff gave a break to a couple times. This was a last straw, and then he threatens the sheriff's life. So that's interesting. It's Teen Wolf. If your life's threatened, you better take notice. Um, so I'm wondering if that guy is going to show up later on in the season, and if not hurt the sheriff, hurt Styles. So that's going to be interesting to see. I wonder what that guy is all about. And honestly, he scares me more than Theo does. Honestly, everybody's talking about Theo, but that guy really scares me because I don't. He looks kind of off hinges, and he looks crazy and capable of doing anything to anybody. So I can't wait to see that guy. Um, so after all this, we see that Kira's parents, when they're trapped in traffic, and they're stuck in a car, we see that Kira's parents are talking about a legend that they know of. Kira's parents know all about the mythology. So we see Kira's parents talk about a legend of a phantom horse riders, um, hunting souls. So we can assume that which they assume that those are, they're telling Kira the story because they think that the legend, basically it's a legend that's causing the storm. We can assume that these phantom horse riders that Kira's parents are talking about are the same guys we see um, later on in the episode with the mask. Basically, it's a heightened legend, but these are the real guys based off of that legend of the phantom horse riders. That's what I'm assuming. That's the same guys who's causing the storm. And it seems like they have electromagnetic abilities, which I'll get more about those guys later on. But that is so cool, man. Oh, I can't wait to see those villains in action. But and possibly control lightning, as we see in the beginning, with the lightning striking down on the earth. But man, I'll get to that later. Let's get through some of these plot points. Um, highlight of the episode for me. It has to be. At first it was the villains, but then Kira's sword, man. And in the beginning, when Kira and Scott were running, into the rain under the thing, which they're at their school and they're running under that, and I'm sitting there wondering, where's Kira's sword? Where if something jumps off, if something pops off, where's she gonna grab? Because her sword is her weapon, and she pulls it out of her belt, and I'm like, what? I'm really staring at my screen like this, like what? That was great, man. That was awesome. It really caught. I swear, I was just thinking about that before she pulled it out, and I was like, yes, yes, yes. We needed that, man. That was awesome. That highlight of the episode for me. Number one moment. Villain's a close second, but Kira's sword, man, that was awesome. And speaking of the villains, let's get right into, because I wrote down a whole bunch of stuff about the villains and their potential in this story. So if you watch Wolf Watch, right after the episode is called Wolf Watch, the creator of and producer and part writer of the show, Teen Wolf, Jeff Davis, he reveals the actual name of the villains for the season. They're called the Dread Doctors, which, whew, they're actually doctors slash scientists who worship the supernatural. Which is, man, I mean, those guys just seem creepy, and so you can tell they're human, and it's even scarier because they're human, you know. And so I think these guys are going to be the. Hopefully, I'm hoping that these guys are even better villains than Peter was in the first season. I'm praying that these guys are the best villains because for this season to be any good, I believe honestly, for this season to be any good, the villains have to be good. The season will go as far as the villains take them. Good villains, good season. It just is. That's as simply as it is. Because Teen Wolf has come to the point where Scott is Scott, and that's what you're gonna get. I'll do a video later on of talking more in depth with his character, but he is who he is. That's all you're gonna get. Scott, and that's it. They killed off their best character, Allison, and Styles is Styles as well, and it's kind of like Scott and Styles are who they are, you know. That's what you're gonna get from them. And Allison, their best character, is dead. So Teen Wolf is only gonna go as far as the villains and the plot takes them. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. They just made to make sure these villains deliver. Because the characters are, I don't see Scott developing anytime soon past where he already is. And for Styles, I think his development is going to happen in this season. But Styles' development is not going to be enough to hold up this season. The villains will be. So that's just my opinion on about. Well, not I only actually I don't think that's. I think it's personally my viewpoint on this season and how it's going to go. But I think it's kind of not. I don't want to say fact because my word isn't fact, but I think it's highly unlikely that this season will be any good if the villains suck. You know what I mean? So, like the Berserkers, no. Kate coming back, Peter, yes. You know what I mean? So, you gotta have good villains, man. Especially when your characters are as far as they are, you gotta have good villains to keep it going. So, but let's get back to the doctors, the Dread Doctors. If you look closely, it seems like they're creating some type of artificial humanoid creatures that are not supposed to be created. And you know, I'm assuming and I'm theorizing that the wolf who attacked Scott was created by the doctors or changed by the doctors. And it looks like they're taking or they're kidnapping probably humans and changing them to make them shapeshifters and mythical creatures. That's why I'm assuming that they're taking regular human beings and making them into mythical creatures. That's my theory on those guys. That's my theory on what they do. Because they worship the supernatural, so I'm assuming that, you know, they kidnap people, they kill them, or they kidnap them and they change them into mythical creatures. Yeah. So I already talked about how this season will go as far as they will go. Um, and when they killed the wolf, what was interesting is, you know, and Teen Wolf does these dramatic things, so I don't know if you should take this as literal as it looked, but crows flew out of um, the wolf's body when they killed him. So I don't know if that's just, you know, a Teen Wolf drama effect that's classic for them, or if that's actually something, you know, something that has to do with this season and what the Dread Doctors are all about. So just look out for crows um, for the rest of the season, basically. um, and finally, we also realize that their goal in at least this episode that we know of is to try and steal the true Alpha's power from Scott, which we also find out from Styles' dad is impossible, which I didn't know that until now. I don't know if that was talked about in the past seasons. I don't remember that being talked about, but apparently a true alpha's powers cannot be stolen. So I don't know. I don't even know if that's true. Just because Styles' dad says it, I don't even know if that's true. But that's what it seems like, and I think that's a good thing. I don't want to see Scott losing his powers and fight. I don't want that. I don't want that to be what this season's about. So I think that's good that Scott's powers. I'm glad actually. I'm so glad that Scott still has his powers. So he's not running around chasing after his powers and having a weak Scott, and he has to still train his beta. It'll be just too much. So I'm glad that he can keep his powers. It shows some sort of strength within him. Jeez. Just a couple more things to go through. In this, it's a long. These reviews. I'm gonna say right now are gonna be pretty lengthy, around 15, 20 minutes, probably even more if there's a lot to go through in that episode. But I don't like to just skim over some stuff. I like to go in depth and break things down what the episode gives us. Um, one things I want to talk about, very emotional, impactful ending of the show of this episode was when Scott draws the AA initials when all the seniors are drawing their initials on it looks like a bookshelf kind of thing. But when Scott draws the AA, man, I almost teared up. I swear to God, I almost cried. Almost. I was this close. Man, Allison was. I'm not. Even, I'm not. I'm gonna get into Allison in another video. But man, that sucked, man. Allison's my favorite character, so it really sucks for me. But what a great character, man. I'm even getting emotional right now thinking about it. Like dang, and I guess style. No, Lydia says it best. She's always here with us. She is. And before I get emotional, that's why I got my glasses on, man. In memory of Allison. So also, even probably even more emotional than that is when Styles is about to write his name. He's the first one to write his name, and he sees a DH for Derek Hale, and their character interaction between each other in the first two seasons was great. It was hilarious. It was funny. It was a great contrast with the dark themes that we was getting into in the first two seasons, and I feel like that was lost in season 3 and 4. I don't know why, but it was, and I feel like that hurt the season 3 and 4. But and he's obviously gone now. And when I seen the DH and Styles look at the DH, I just thought about all the moments the funny moments that they had together, and I'm gonna miss that. And that was emotional as well, man. Two emotional, impactful scenes that just hit me right in the heart, and that's what really that's really made the episode for me. Everything I want in a Teen Wolf episode. Um, and finally, in that scene of them, writing their names, we see that Malia chooses Malia Tate over Malia Hale. Just kind of showing that she's choosing her identity. She's choosing to be a Tate. Now, how that will work out for her later on in the season, I think not so well, because we see, obviously, at the end of the episode, scenes of what's to happen in the future, and she meets up with the she-wolf. And I'm pretty sure the she-wolf is not going to be happy about her being a Tate. But we'll see how this works out later on in the season. But I'm pretty sure that's going to, that's foreshadowing of something. I'm telling you guys, it is. So eventually, at the end of the episode, we learn that this whole episode was basically a flashback. Actually, this whole season will be a flashback. Like I said in the beginning, this whole season will be a flashback. But this episode was a flash forward. Well, we learn that this whole season is going to actually be a flashback, which is going to be great. We get a little points that's going to happen in the future of some of the struggles that our characters go through. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm not going to go through all of them because I don't want to really spoil those moments for you guys. but you guys have seen him in the episode. Um, I think, but I will say this: the most important one I think is the she-wolf, because that was foreshadowed in the late and past seasons of there being a she-wolf, and I think that's going to be probably the most important thing that we touch upon this season. That's one of the things I'm most excited to see, who the she-wolf is, what she actually looks like, and what she can do, and what she has to say to Malia, because that's her mother, which Peter says, which you can't really trust what Peter says. But so that's one of the most important things I've seen that I think we got to see is, knowing that Malia eventually meets up with the she wolf. So other than that, you guys, a great episode of Teen Wolf, great episode. We get a lot of things, a lot of things. I think a lot of conflicts are going to happen this season. I think the season will go as far as the villains in the season take it, and I think that Styles, Liam, and Theo have a great chance of characterization. I think Styles has a great chance of character development. And I can't wait to see what this season has to give us. And again, guys, this is just the first part. Tomorrow we'll get part 2, episode 2. I'll be back tomorrow for another review, but this review is over, guys. Thanks for everything. Please comment, rate, subscribe, of course, for more reviews on Teen Wolf. I'll be doing this weekly. Other than that, guys, see you guys later. Peace out.